So last time I tried recording this video, there was so much wind to the point that it actually overpowered my microphone. And meaning by wind, there was a power storm going on. Well, hi guys. Today I'm going to be making the most pointless video ever. Well, not exactly pointless. This is actually a video I actually kind of wanted to make, just for fun. So I'm not really going to be working off a script because this is like not a real video I'm going to make. But just go off what I say. I mean, my opinion. Anyways, today we are going to be ranking one of my friend's artists, or, well, I said that completely wrong, the artist Tynix Bear, who has made some of the most interesting instrumental soundtracks I've ever heard in my life. So I feel like I'd be ranking all 11 albums. Yes, this includes the remixed ones, like meaning remixed by like Love All and the other one, the Tynix Bear album of Tynix remixes. Those are the two, and I guess even the holiday collection, which we'll be including as well, and then all the original albums. So let's go through each one individually. I'll try to give myself only like a few minutes of each one, because since there's 11 albums, that will only like that will keep the video from being like stupidly long. I'll just try to go through them briefly. So anyways, let's begin. So our least greatest album, I'm not going to say worst, because honestly, I don't think this album's bad. It's not really an album though, it's kind of like just like a bunch of remixes. This is an album that has all Tynix remixes. A legendary song by Lisa Verselli remixed in 13 different ways. So yeah, this is basically like the album that like created Tynix Bear in like a way where it's like where we got that name from. So yeah, we have some songs that were actually used in other albums, like Shine Like Tynix, the Bracelet Theme, etc. I think those are the only two, but we just have a bunch of Tynix remixes. The most notable ones off this album is the Jewel of the Tynix Power, Underwater Tynix Reef, Tynix with Us is a Miracle, and Tynix Reversed Remix. I think those four are probably the best ones, and that's like a must listen. I like the Bracelet Theme too, but that one's for a different album, so we're gonna get to that later. The rest of them are just kind of existing, but I do like most of them. Cave Tynix, Lost Tynix, Baby Tynix, Teaser Tynix, Emotional Tynix. I mean, these are all great, but there's no storyline, and this is just a bunch of remixes, so they're not really exactly original. So that's why I'm ranking it at the bottom, because there's no like storyline to attach to the album. However, I will say that the Tynix with Us is a Miracle is very special to me because I used it in one of my videos as like an end credits song. And by one of my videos, it was on one of my other accounts. So yeah, that one's pretty special. Other than that, it's kind of just meh. It's kind of like just existing. Next up we have on our list is Solaria Brighten Up My Style. Now this album is actually pretty decent in terms of song quality. However, the storyline doesn't really make sense in a way that's kind of like a mess, but I mean it's only just supposed to be a day in a life. That's really the only concept, but in terms of a mess, it's not like really like telling a story. It's just a bunch of songs about Stella in a way. Like we have songs about Stella's parents, Stella's powers, Stella as a character, etc. Like all those random things. So it's kind of like a day in a life, see what goes along with the Fairy of the Shining Sun. I will say Eclipse is kind of mid compared to the rest of the songs, even though that one is an actual song compared to a Blinding Light, which is literally just sound. In the seamless version, a Blinding Light's only like a minute, but the actual release is 5 minutes. I can't see anybody that would listen to that for all 5 minutes of it, since there's just literally nothing. It's just ambient noises and that's it. It's not even ambient like with like actual chords or anything like that. It's just sound. That's it. I do like how the album opens up with Solar and ends with Lunar. I think that's actually kind of clever because like you start daylight and then you end at nighttime. I find that pretty cool. Some more notable songs I really like off this album are Ring and 3 Sun Setting, and I also kind of like Sun and Moon as well. These are all songs that are actually like decent enough that I would listen to from time to time. I will say this album is definitely underappreciated and I think it should be represented a lot more, but being at the bottom of the list shows that the other albums just had a lot more care put into them. And by care, I mean in terms of storyline. Like, these songs are not bad. Compared to the other albums, however, it's just mid. So let's continue on. Okay, so Mini Worlds. This one is an interesting one. This one actually was in the works, then stopped, and then its last songs finally got released. And in terms of the Tynix Bracelet theme, which is the opener, it was pulled from the Tynix Bear album and placed here, which I think it actually works a lot better, and also like it ties into the Mini Worlds as well, and I like that a lot more because you need the bracelet in order to access any of the Mini Worlds at all, so it's actually refreshing to have that as the opener. I will say the Song of Adamantine, every time I listen to it, I always forget how good it is. Like, I just kind of like, it's kind of like an underrated song. I do really like all these songs. Leaf Skip and Precious Flowers, however, those are great songs, but the ones from Lotus Flower are leagues better, and even the one from the Holiday Collection is much better, the Leaf Skip version, Drifting on the Ice. I think that one's leagues better than the original. Lost in the Droplet, I really like. Definitely one of the better minor key songs. Heart of Althea is also great, as it samples the melody from the Althea's theme from the actual series. Each Color of Step and the Seasons of Sundial are really amazing for no reason. In fact, Each Colorful Step, Tynix Bear actually had no ideas for it until he came up with this, and wow, I'm impressed. And Seasons of Sundial, you could actually listen to that song in any season, because that song represents the 4 seasons, like autumn, winter, spring, and summer. There's different instruments that complement each season, like a sitar complementing like summer, I think, flute, spring, kind of bells. There's like bells and keys like for the winter, and then the acoustic guitar for fall. And I think that's a really good way to put it. If there were, I guess it didn't go that excessive for like tubular bells or Christmassy like type sounds for the winter like side of things. I'm glad it wasn't overdone, and I think that makes that song shine. So yeah, Mini Worlds is decent, but no storyline. It lacks any sort of meaningful story. It just kind of like there's mini worlds for each or songs for each mini world. And also, even though the desert mini world's only for comics, I think it should have gotten one, honestly. It would have been nice to see what Tynix Bear could do with like a desert like theme, because I'm pretty sure a desert mini world was like, or a sand mini world was in the comics, if I remember correctly. But don't quote me on that. But yeah, I really think that should have got one. Other than that, Mini Worlds is pretty decent, and I will listen to it for time to time again. Winter on Lynthea. It exists. I mean, it's not a bad album. Like, don't get me wrong. It's pretty short compared to the other ones. Like, it's probably the shortest Tynix Bear album, even with the kind of filler songs there, and like When I Want to Smile, which is literally just pulled right from the Love All album. However, there are some saving graces with this album. Drifting on the Ice is probably the best alteration of Leaf Skip, no question. Like, I could actually envision like Flora like skating around like on like this exact album picture. I really like that about this one. Natural Wreath is probably the Tynix Bear Christmas song, as far as I know. I do like how it has a choir. There's also tubular bells, like the Christmas type instruments. And there's actually no sleigh bells, which is actually really interesting, but it's just a winter album. It's not really Christmassy, except for the last song, A Magic's Christmas. Also, why is it called A Magic's Christmas when it takes place on Lynthea? I guess it was just pulled right from last year, but like, you know, it could have just been like a Lynthea Christmas, but I mean, that wouldn't make sense, but I guess you can only ask for so much. The remixes we got were actually pretty good. I really like Remember, which was pulled from On Ice, and also A Poem, which is actually better than the one that we got from On Ice. Like, at least it was originally called Gardenia, but then it was changed to A Poem, at least for this one, and even the Love All album had just renamed it to The Poem. So yeah. And also Lotus Ice took inspiration from Carol the Bells, as it took that sample, which is actually interesting. And I'm pretty sure it was the original version of the Sundial Mini World, meaning there was the Sundial Mini World used to be Precious Flowers, this song, and there was a acoustic opening that symbolized fall, but that got scrapped and got changed to the version we have currently now. So, a Lotus Ice was actually repurposed. I mean, yeah. Although, I don't know why it's called a Lotus Ice, since it doesn't really tie into any lotus flower things or anything like that, but I guess it's just because lotus flowers become so iconic to the point that it just had to have a spot in this album. Just because it's kind of like a holiday collection, just to reference the Our Sweet Lotus Flower trilogy. So, I mean, it's fine. But yeah, this album is pretty short, so it's just a holiday collection. It's not meant to be long, so I mean, you can only ask for so much. Also, I want to take a second to appreciate this album cover, because, wow, does Flora look good. I love the fact that it actually, like, shows what drifting on ice is meant to be, and, like, symbolizes what that song is about, so I really like the way the album cover was done. Her outfit also is really good too. So yeah, play this during Christmas. One of the first Linfea albums to be on this list, other than the holiday collection, but I don't really count that. This one is actually pretty interesting. It's the most experimental album in the entire Tynix Bear library. Supernaturally Powerful is actually pretty decent. Like, for what it is, like, it tries to, like, mix heavy metal stuff. I think the experimentation is actually really nice to see that Tynix Bear is trying to, like, experiment with new things. So that's definitely appreciated. So yeah, notable songs off this album. One Who Lived in a Forest is actually a very Tynix Bear coded song, and it's actually a really good theme for Sylvana. I'm not even gonna lie. It's actually pretty good for her character. And Pedal to the Floor is kind of like the harsh side of her character, which actually is really well done. I'm not even gonna lie. I remember when I heard this song on my birthday for the first time, like, it came out on my birthday conveniently. I find that pretty funny. Natural Disaster also builds up to this song really nicely, I'm not even gonna lie. Her Life as a Fairy and Within Nature's End are on similar quality levels. They sound kind of similar in a way, but just not. Strangled and Bind, however, is actually really interesting. How, like, at the end of the song, Sylvana was on Subjected Die at the very end of the song as she got captured. Although, in future reference, she actually was put in a coma that was established in Lost Above Clouds. So, I mean, I don't care what anybody says, she died at the end of that song. And yes, Last Petal Standing is a very horror movie-like song. Very horror movie-like, and I think that's really well done. So yeah, Supernaturally Powerful is actually really decent. And if you want to understand the lore, there's not that much lore that goes around. It's just Sylvana, like, doing a bunch of random things. Like, I mean, she put the pedal to the floor. But yeah, it's not too much going on, but the part where she died is actually, like, really, really interesting, to say the least. Other than that, there's not too much lore going on, but it is a decent album. Can't lie. It's meant to just, like, push the limits of Tynix Bear. So, yeah, decent album. Oh boy, we have made it to Lotus Flower Trilogy. A Shimmering Lotus is probably the weakest of the three, just because I like Linfea's Rebirth slightly better. It's actually the next placement, spoilers, but we'll get to that later. First, we'll just go through this album. So, this one takes place after the events of the original Our Sweet Lotus Flower album, so it's basically the sequel, as from what it's called. The first two songs don't actually introduce Melee just yet. They're kind of like just fun songs. A Shimmering Lotus references Our Sweet Lotus Flower in a way, especially Linfea's Distant Love, where it has, like, the arpeggio at the beginning and the Crazy in Love with You sample. So it's, like, still part of the Lotus Flower trilogy, and it still tells you that it is still Flora. But yeah, most notable songs though, I will say there's a lot of songs that I will say I like so much better than that. Reverberating Flowers, Sweet Honey Melee, Water Stairway, and Lotus Flowers Forever, all perfect songs. Believe it or not, Sweet Honey Melee was actually a song I co-wrote. I wrote the arpeggio and nothing else. And I mean, I only put down like 7, 8 notes, I don't even know. But whatever the hell it was, that's all I did, and then Tynix Bear just made it a masterpiece, but yeah. A True Ladybird is also decent too, but yeah, I also like the fact that there's like a bunch of cute little references in these 3 albums, like Water Stairway and Black Willow, which are both referencing season 3, and A Rose of Power referencing Melee's 4 kids name, which I actually really like. And I also do like the name Sweet Honey Melee as well. That's like a very sweet name to give for a song, especially if it's like her theme, because Melee actually translates to honey. So yeah, I will say I really like that. However, this album, I think, suffers from just filler. The Endless Biome is way too long, and also Rose of Power kind of drags on for a little longer than it needs to, but Rose of Power works a lot more than the Endless Biome, which the Endless Biome just takes a bunch of samples from Our Sweet Lotus Flower. Like, it's not exactly original. For it to be the longest song off this album, it's not really notable. I mean, just take the Linfey's Rebirth as Sweet Honey Melee, remove the Endless Biome, or at least shorten it, and call it a day. But other than that minor flaw, A Shimmering Lotus is actually pretty decent. And also, I can talk about the album cover a little bit because I think it's beautiful and I love Melee's outfit here. Also, the storyline is actually decent as well, because this album is basically Melee and Flora restoring Linfea to what it used to be, using the Black Willow, which is why the Black Willow is on this album. And that's why Caught in a Twirl was reversed to like undo the effects, and then it gets all silent. I think that concept was actually taken pretty well, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, very decent album. Well, as I said before, Linfea's Rebirth I prefer slightly more, just because I think the songs are actually, believe it or not, more impactful. This is Our Sweet Lotus Flower taken from Melee's point of view, which was actually done really well. Like, it doesn't spend too much time during Our Sweet Lotus Flower. Like, it doesn't like cover like the entire album. Like, it actually goes from the beginning of Our Sweet Lotus Flower to the midway point of A Shimmering Lotus, in a way, because we start at Distant, which is sampled right from Linfea's Distant Love, and it ends at Rebirth. But on the trilogy release, like the 3-hour video, Rebirth ends and it goes into a True Ladybird. So that's what I mean when it like goes into midway through. More songs notable off this album are Silent Flowers, which is actually really nice. Fly High is also one of my favorite ambient songs. Probably my favorite ambient song from Tynix Bear. And also Rebirth. I really like Rebirth. But also, can I just take a moment to talk about Past Life? Because Past Life is probably the most emotional song to date. Or emotional Tynix Bear song to date. Like, obviously, I think there's a lot more emotional songs. So I can't really, like, be, like, biased about that. But, you know, it's just an opinion. But, you know, I still think Past Life is one of the most emotional songs. Like, the flowers are dead. And, like, like, what more could you ask for? Oh, I know. The extended version of Sweet Honey Melee. Oh my god, is this version amazing. And I also love the fact that Tynix Bear actually took the time to include voice lines, and it not done by AI either. Like, it's actually ripped right from the series. And I think the way it was used was so well done. Especially the part where, like, Flora calls Melee's name and the song modulates. Oh my god, that part hit me so hard the first time I heard this version. And also Rebirth has some of it too. So I mean, like, what? I just can't believe it. Like, the fact that this album actually, like, is just better just because of, like, I think there's no songs that actually, like, even Silent Flowers, for it being the longest song, I don't even think that song is a waste of time, unlike the Endless Biome. Even though Silent Flowers is basically Precious Flowers, because I think it hits much more. So, yeah. I spent a while on this album, so I think it's just time to continue before I get too carried away here. So Music Heals the Heart. It's a pretty good album, but in terms of songs, there's only 5, not including the acoustic version of Clear Sky Crystals, which I'll quickly get over with. It's decent. That's all I have to say, though. So, yeah. That doesn't really count as in the album, it's kind of like an extra song that we got. The original 5 songs that came off this album: Rise and Return, A Clear Sky Crystals, Colorful Powerful, Crack the Quartz, and The Elixir Wave. All these songs are good in their own ways. Rise and Return and A Clear Sky Crystals must be listened to from side to side. It will only make the song so much better. Also, A Clear Sky Crystals. That song's also really special to me, because that was another one of those songs that was used in one of my videos. In fact, it was made for one of my videos, and it just became a full-fledged album. So that's also really awesome to see. Colorful and powerful. No, it's not Butterflick's colorful, but it's alright. I mean, it's fine. It's actually a pretty decent song, I'm not even gonna lie. For just to be a short song, it's actually pretty decent. Crack the Quartz Crystal is kind of a transitional song, and it's actually surprisingly well executed to transition to the Elixir Wave. Which, I mean, it's pretty short, but like, it's supposed to be a transitional song, so it can't exactly be long. And of course, we have the big bulk, the Elixir Wave, which is the longest Tynix Bear song to date. One of the longest songs I know of as well. The two best songs are pretty obvious. Like, I mean, it's no contest. It's the two big bulks of this album that got so much of the thought. And also, the Elixir Wave, probably one of my favorite songs of all time. Like, not even exaggerating. I love the way it was executed. I love the ocean part, like where it's like you're inside the ocean. It sounds so cool. And I also really like the way the album ends, where it goes like crazy and then it goes for a big rock ending type, or big synth ending. I don't even know. Yes, I'm a rock band and nerd. A rhythm game. I like rhythm games. But yeah, I really like Music Heals the Heart. Probably one of my favorite albums of all time. Pretty decent. Love All indeed. This album is a love letter to the 20-year anniversary of Winx Club, and I think this is such a cute love message to the series. I'm gonna go through this one pretty quickly because there's 30 songs in total. This album's 2 hours long, and it wasn't even meant to be. Tynix Bear just started making a bunch of remixed songs and just put it on this album, and it just somehow turned out to be 2 hours long. None of these songs are bad. These all are very interesting remixes. Like, we have, some of them are like just like basic like remastered versions, but the songs like Return to the Ruby Reef like combine two songs, and it's surprisingly really well done. There's also Safe in the Arms. I really love that one. I love the power to change the world. The soft version is so nice. My two favorite songs off this album are probably Take My Hand and Loving You Forever. I mean, I can't even pick between the two. Like, those two are like so good. I just don't even understand how it's so well done. Also, Winx Conversions is very interesting, where it like takes every single transformation song into one. And that's actually really funny in the way it was done. I actually really like that. And I also like the fact that we got an OST on here too, Dancing to Your Heart, which is a song from Season 5. And we also got Love's a Miracle, Winx Got to Go, which is actually really interesting because it uses like Under the Sign of Winx. It's actually pretty interesting. And it actually goes into Under the Sign. I also like how the album opens with Above the Sign and then Under the Sign closing the album, even though Under the Sign does not actually close the album. Young Girls actually closes the album, which is like taken literally right from On Ice. It was shortened in the album, but it was still worth it because we got a full version as a separate release, and I think it's actually fits better in the way it was used in the album. Like, it's like one more burst of energy. And yeah, it's really sweet. I really love this love message to the series. I think it's super well done. So yeah, love all indeed. Can we just talk about how well this album aged? Seriously, the storyline is near perfection. I can't spot a single flaw in this storyline. Flora is in love, and then drama happens with the crystal thing. This is all Linfiz's Distant Love lore. They get back together and woohoo, make up. But yeah, that's basically Linfiz's Distant Love in a nutshell. That's the opener of this whole trilogy, and it's actually not even near perfect, probably just literal perfection. Like, it's literally it's my second favorite song of all time. Like, not even exaggerating. It's pretty much a perfect love story. It's if you want a good love experience, Linfizz Distant Love right now. Play it in the background, yes. And then the rest of the songs pretty much tie into the whole rest of the story plot, where Flora's just enjoying nature, and then it's all destroyed by Caught in a Twirl. And then Flora must relive a new life. So, yeah, that's basically the storyline. If you want more information, just check out the descriptions of each of the songs. Songs worth pointing out, pretty much all of them. Leaf Skip and Ladybug Race are kind of just like songs that are just for fun, and they work. Even though Leaf Skip was just taken right from Mini Worlds, and same with Precious Flowers, even though those two versions of the songs are leagues better than the Mini Worlds versions. Lulia is a great flashback type song where it like references the whole Black Weeping Willow getting burned up in flames. It's a strange acoustic song, which I actually really like. Also, can I talk about Mother Nature for a quick minute? Because I honestly think that's probably the most perfect Tynix Bear song to ever exist currently. Because the way it continues this happiness, like from the break section that was Leaf Skip and Ladybug Race, and then out of nowhere, it gets all creepy. That's when the twirl starts forming. And then it just takes a sample from Ladybug Race and makes it more insane. Like, you need to get the hell out of there before your whole world gets destroyed by this stupid twirl. And I'm like, wow, that's like actually impactful. Every time I listen to Caught Twirl, it grows on me. I actually really like it now. I used to hate it just because it was like the least interesting song. But since my friend always forced me to listen to this song, it started to grow on me, and it's just so how impactful it is. It also has the E6 add 9 flashback chord, which actually serves a purpose well in this song. Every time we hear that E6 add 9 chord, it's always like some flashback to a happy moment of this album. And I think that's super well done. Lotus Flower actually has a really awesome opening where it's like just so subtle, and then the sitar comes in. Like, wow. That goes into Precious Flowers, and then a bittersweet ending, which a bittersweet ending is also interesting, where it uses like every single sample from this album. Like, I love the way that it like ends there. Like, it's just like it comes full circle, even though we got more sequels. So yeah, we got a whole 3-hour trilogy that you guys can listen to. But yeah, I can't spot a single flaw with this album. Like, seriously, it's perfection. If you want a good album, definitely pick this one. And also, I could talk about the Crazy in Love With You instrumental and vocal dialogue remix, because those were actually the demo versions for Linfizz Distant Love, but got changed out into the version we have now. Our Sweet Lotus Flower, probably one of the perfect albums of all time. Now, a lot of people might say that Our Sweet Lotus Flower is the best Tynix Bear album to exist, until very recently when we got Lost Above Clouds. This is the best Tynix Bear album to ever exist, bar none. Reasons are storyline, characters, album art, and most importantly, the song production. Every single one of these songs is godly, especially songs like Heavenly Flower, Close Your Eyes, Ethereal Vision, Magic Coming Together, Rebellious Thoughts, Between Worlds. Like, these are all really good songs, and they tie into each of the different moments of the storyline so well. If you want to know the storyline, again, check out the descriptions of each of the songs. But yeah, I like how Rest in Peace sets the mood from Supernaturally Powerful, where it's like the uncanny, but like then we just go to Close Your Eyes, where it just like goes out of that like mood. Kind of takes place after Supernaturally Powerful. So yeah, it's kind of like a sequel, but not really directly. But yeah, the title track's also great too, Lost Above Clouds. I really like that song. We got a lot of really good songs like Fallen Angel. Like, these all are like amazing songs. I would like say, I'm just going to talk about the most noteworthy ones. Probably one of the most noteworthy songs off this album is Leilana's theme, Heavenly Flower. Which, by the way, Leilana, our new friend, her design is so cool. I love her tiara, I love her dress, I love the outfit. Like, the fact that she got such a good design just for a musical album is so interesting to me. Even Miele got a really good outfit as well. Like, her outfit also is god tier. And also, I like the fact that like Miele like had a recoloration of her wings, like to make it stand out that she's still Miele. Like her wings like are just taken right from her Cedix form. Yes, I'm calling it Cedix just because I kind of like that term. But yeah, I really like the way that Miele associates with a lucid dream, where she can like create most things but like can't control it in a way. But just she can spawn flora, but she could also spawn acoustic guitar, but she can't really like alter like the world in any way. But also I really like the sound. It's like this album like pioneered the sound in a way where it's like between worlds. Like it's like in a way where it's like so very atmospheric. You go into a different dimension, and then the other part of it is like changing Miele's outfit to the one we're seeing. And it's so cool when you think about it and you visualize it. And also the two live performances I was really excited for when this album came out. Magic Coming Together is really, really sweet and subtle, where it's like the acoustic guitar, which Miele was playing from Rebellious Thoughts, so she kept on playing her acoustic guitar. Sylvana, when she was found, she was playing the bass. And then we also got to control Crystal and Flora, which they got some cameos as well, which Flora was playing the flute, Crystal was playing keys. Like, I love the way that was taken into concept. And Ethereal Vision takes that concept, but makes it all, like, actually real. Like, it's like it actually happened. And also, I'm glad they all have their own respective parts. I love the solo at the end of the song. Miele's part is so good, and also like shows that her character, like she loves to take in control. It's absolutely amazing. Like I can't even explain it. It's like you guys have to listen to this album yourself. And also, the album ends with another one of those big endings, like a big rock ending type style. The album cover is even one of my favorites. I love how like Leilana's like faded out, like as she's like kind of like a spirit. I can't explain how good these outfits are, and also the way the album cover was designed. I love it. It's pretty much perfect. And the thing that I'm like holding this album above Our Sweet Lotus Flower is that it just didn't take like any samples or anything. This is like all original content. Our Sweet Lotus Flower like took Leash Skip from Mini Worlds, Precious Flowers from Mini Worlds, and Crazy in Love with You from the actual series. So some of it wasn't exactly original, but it doesn't hurt the album. But this one, since for it being completely original, makes it top tier for me. And I think that's why I think Lost Above Clouds is probably the best album from Tynix Bear's library. So yeah, that's gotta do it for this very pointless video. If you enjoyed my ranking, why not unsubscribe? I don't know what I'm saying. I'm tired. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and that will be it.